It's a Sunday evening and you are scrolling through your bank statement the way people do when the month has ended and the number is slightly lower than expected and you want to understand where it went. Not a full audit, not a spreadsheet, just a scroll. The charges move past in a column. The grocery run, the gas station, the dinner out, the familiar ones you recognize without reading. Then one you don't. A name you half recognize. A number that doesn't immediately attach to anything. You pause. Your thumb hovers. You almost tap it. Then you keep scrolling because it's $12, and the mental effort of investigating $12 on a Sunday evening costs more than $12 feels worth. You'll look into it later. You have been going to look into it later for 4 months. The charge will be there next month, and the month after, and the month after that. Not because you forgot, because forgetting was the product. Because someone, somewhere, in a meeting room with good coffee and a whiteboard, and a very clear understanding of how human attention works, designed the experience so that the most likely outcome of that Sunday evening scroll was exactly what just happened. The pause, the almost, the continue. This is not a story about being disorganized. It is not a story about people who fail to read the fine print or lack the discipline to manage their finances. This is a story about an industry, about the deliberate, sophisticated, extremely well-funded engineering of friction, the science of making one action effortless and its opposite nearly impossible, not by accident, not by oversight, but by design. The subscription economy did not become a trillion-dollar category because people love paying for things they don't use. It became a trillion-dollar category because the people building it understood human psychology better than the humans living inside it. Here is the first layer: the architecture of signing up versus the architecture of canceling. You have experienced both. Signing up takes 90 seconds, one screen, your email, your card number, a button that says Start Your Free Trial. The button is large and green and centered, and the page has been tested by people whose job title contains the word optimization on thousands of users to find the exact size and color and position that produces the highest conversion rate. The page is not designed to inform you. It is designed to move you through a door before you finish deciding whether you want to go through it. The cancel flow is different. The cancel flow requires you to find the settings menu, which is not where you expect it, and then the account section, which is inside the settings menu but not labeled intuitively, and then a page that asks you why you want to cancel, and then a page that offers you a discount, and then a page that asks you to confirm, and then sometimes an email that requires a second confirmation, and then a waiting period before the cancellation takes effect, during which another charge may process. This is not a design failure. This is a design achievement. Every additional step between the customer and the exit was put there intentionally and tested and measured and kept because it works. The asymmetry between entry and exit is not an oversight. It is the product. Here's the second layer: the pricing. You have seen the numbers so many times they have become invisible. $9.99, $14.99, $4.99, $7.99. The cents are not there because of rounding. The cents are there because decades of consumer psychology research established that the human brain processes $9.99 in a categorically different register than $10. Not slightly differently, categorically. The $9.99 lives below the threshold of active evaluation. It registers as less than 10, which registers as small, which registers as not worth the cognitive effort of deciding whether it is worth it. This is called the left digit effect, and it has been studied and quantified and applied with extraordinary precision across every subscription price point you have ever seen. The number was not chosen because it is fair. It was chosen because it is invisible. And invisible, charged monthly, recurring automatically, is a very efficient way to move money from one place to another without the person on the sending end ever quite deciding to send it. Here's the third layer: the aggregation. Taken individually, Each subscription is defensible. The music is $10 a month, and you use it every day. The video streaming is $15, and you watch it most evenings. The news is $8, and you read it on your phone on the train. The fitness app is $12, and you opened it twice this month, but you are going to use it more next month. The cloud storage is $3, and you genuinely need it. The productivity tool is $6, and your work requires it. Each one evaluated alone passes the test. Each one evaluated together produces a number that most people have never actually calculated. The average American household spends somewhere between $200 and $300 a month on subscriptions. Most people, when asked to estimate their own subscription spending, guess somewhere between $80 and $100. The gap between the estimate and the reality is not a coincidence. The gap is the product. The subscriptions were not designed to be evaluated together. They were designed to be evaluated one at a time, in isolation, at the moment of sign-up, when the value is most visible and the cumulative cost is least visible. The industry understood that $200 a month spent in $15 increments feels like nothing, while $200 a month as a single line item feels like a decision. So they made sure it always arrived in increments. Here's the fourth layer, the loyalty trap. You have been a customer of something for 3 years. You signed up in a different chapter of your life, when the thing seemed necessary or exciting or cheaper than the alternative. The chapter has ended. The necessity has passed. The excitement is gone. The alternative is now cheaper. But you haven't canceled. Not because you're satisfied, because leaving something you have had for 3 years requires a kind of deliberate action that staying requires none of. Staying is the default, and default in the subscription economy is a revenue model. The longer you have been a customer, the higher the psychological cost of canceling, because the longer tenure makes the thing feel like a part of the furniture, a fixed cost, a thing that has always been there and therefore presumably needs to be. The industry has a term for the customers who stay past the point of active use. It is not a kind term. The term is revenue from the inert, and the inert are not the least valued customers. In many subscription businesses, they are the most profitable ones because they pay and pay and pay and ask for nothing in return. Now, here are two people, same income, same city, same ordinary Sunday evening with a bank statement on their phone. The first person does the thing almost nobody does. She opens a spreadsheet or a notes app or a piece of paper, and she lists every recurring charge from the last 3 months. Everyone, including the ones she did not immediately recognize, including the ones she has been meaning to look into later. She adds them up. The number is $263 a month. She cancels the ones she cannot justify. The fitness app she opened twice, the streaming service she last used in February, the news subscription that duplicates one she gets through her employer, the software tool she signed up for during a project that ended. The cancellations take 40 minutes, and a quantity of redirected hold music she will not forgive easily. When she is done, her recurring charges are $94 a month. She takes the $169 she recovered and routes it automatically into an index fund on the same day the old charges used to leave. She does not do this again for another year. One afternoon, one audit, one redirect. The second person scrolls past the unrecognized charge on Sunday evening and means to look into it later. He is not careless or undisciplined. He is exactly as careless and disciplined as the system was designed to make him. The $263 keeps leaving every month, distributed across 14 line items, each one below the threshold of action, each one arriving with the quiet authority of something that has always been there and presumably always should be. 30 years later, the first person's $169 a month, routed into the market and left alone, has become somewhere around $204,000. The second person has excellent taste in content. He has watched a significant amount of television and listened to a great deal of music and used a fitness app he opened occasionally and a cloud storage plan he genuinely needed. Over 30 years, the $169 monthly difference between them, the amount she recovered in one Sunday afternoon, and he left in the hands of 14 automatic renewals, totals somewhere close to $61,000 in raw contributions. The other $143,000 is what happens when $169 a month meets 30 years of compound growth. It is the price of the Sunday afternoon nobody took. It is the return on the one audit that almost nobody runs. Not because it is hard, because it is boring, because the charges are small, because looking into it later is always an available option, and later has a way of becoming 30 years. Here is what the subscription economy understood before you did. The goal was never to sell you a product. The goal was to sell you an automatic payment. The product was the pretext. The recurring charge was the architecture. And once the architecture is in place, once the charge is automated and the cancellation is friction-laden, and the amount is priced below the threshold of active thought, the only thing required to keep the money moving is your continued failure to spend a Sunday afternoon doing arithmetic. That failure was not left to chance. It was engineered. The hold music, the confirmation screens, the discount offers that appear only when you try to leave, the settings menus that require 3 submenus to find. None of it happened by accident. All of it was built, tested, refined, and kept because it reliably produces the outcome the business needed. Your inertia was the product. Your later was the revenue model. Your Sunday evening scroll, the pause, the almost, the continue. That sequence was not a failure of your attention. That sequence was the intended user experience. It is a Sunday evening and you are scrolling through your bank statement. One charge you recognize, then another, then one you don't. Your thumb hovers. You know what this is now. You know what the pause was designed to produce, and you know what the continue costs, and you know that somewhere in the distance, 30 years from now, a version of this evening is either an audit that took one afternoon or a television show you can no longer name. The charge is still there. It is still $12. The Sunday afternoon is still available. The only thing that has changed is that you can no longer say you didn't know what you were looking at.